It looks like Deion Coach Prime Sanders and Jed Fisch, the coach of the Arizona Wildcats, have a working relationship that goes back about 20 years. And Coach Prime alluded to that in his presser yesterday. Let's take a look at that.
Coach, Arizona is going through the process of something like you guys are trying to embark on. They're a little further down the road in it. What have you seen from Jed Fisch and his program, specifically lately, because they're one of the hottest teams in the conference?
Yeah, first and foremost, he's a really good coach. He's a really good person. I think we were together maybe in San Francisco or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure. I do remember his face and his name, but he's been phenomenal. His coaching resume is suffice. I like him as a person, as a coach, as a man. What he's doing with that program is phenomenal, and I love everything he's doing. And his kids are playing hard. They're not being penalized much, and they're playing hard, and they're making the plays that they need to make. So
as you can see, Coach Prime knows that he has a working relationship, or had a working relationship, knew Jed Fisch from one of his previous teams. And it turns out that even though he said it was San Francisco, it was actually the Baltimore Ravens. A quick search put him and Jed Fisch on the Baltimore Ravens team in the 2004-2005 seasons. It's interesting, though, because this is the year, 2004 is the year that Jed Fisch got hired onto the staff at the Baltimore Ravens as a general assistant coach. And Coach Prime, or Deion Sanders at the time, was just coming out of retirement. He had retired in 2000 from the Washington Redskins, and he had come out from retirement and wanted to play a couple of years. A few players on the Baltimore Ravens team talked him into actually coming back. And at the time, he was 37 years old. There was already a player on the team that had 21, a defensive back. And so Coach Prime chose 37, which was his age at the time. And he decided he was going to play a one-year contract for the Baltimore Ravens. And he ended up staying for 2 seasons. He ended up having 5 picks, 1 pick for a touchdown during that time. So it was a very productive time for him. During that time, Jed Fisch started as a general assistant and went to a quarterback/wide receiver coach, an assistant coach there. So they did have a working relationship. Now, obviously, the pro football is different from college football in the fact that, a lot of because Jed Fisch was an offensive assistant and Deion Sanders played defense, there probably wasn't a lot of interaction between the two, but they probably knew each other on the team. But then 20 years goes by and a whole lot of things happen in 20 years for both of those guys. And then all of a sudden, bam, they find themselves actually both head coaches, both in the Pac-12, both trying to build a program. Here they are meeting again, this is fantastic. And this actually goes into a second thing that I wanted to talk about. But before we go a whole lot further, Coach Prime came from JSU, rebuilt a program at JSU into a championship team. And Jed Fisch started at Arizona back in, I think it was 2020, and has very slowly built this program to where this year they are one of the hottest college football teams out there with a 6-3 record and a 3-game winning streak. And those 3 games were against big teams. I mean, you're talking Washington State, Oregon State, and UCLA, but all 3 games back-to-back won those games pretty handily. So they are absolutely hot right now going into this game. We, on the other hand, are on a little bit of a losing streak. So we couldn't be at different points in our programs. Let's put it that way. It'll be interesting to see what happens here because Coach Prime said in his presser that he really respects Jed Fisch, that he thinks he's a great man and a great coach, that he remembered his face and his name probably from the Baltimore Ravens. He likes the way that Jed Fisch's kids are playing hard. And obviously that's a big point for Coach Prime, is that he said pretty often that, we can give these players the right game calls and we can give them the right coaching, but it comes down to individual play. And that can make the difference for the game. Now, into the second point of this. So this goes into, the pressers for the past few games where Coach Prime has been asked in the presser about Shawn Lewis and about the other coaches and, trying to get some information from Coach Prime about how he feels about those coaches, whether or not they're going to be around for another year and those kinds of things. And Coach has done a very good job of kind of deflecting on that. And the reason why is specifically because of games like this where, there may be some internal things going on in the University of Colorado football. And when you start out hot and you start to get cold, you got to make some changes. And sometimes those changes are coaching changes. Sometimes they're personnel changes with the student athletes. And the coaching staff a lot of times will try to keep those things internal because they don't want to disparage any of the players and ruin any opportunity they have maybe for transferring to another school. They also don't want to disparage any of the coaches because they don't want to ruin opportunities for them in the future, and the fact that most likely the coaching tree blossoms pretty fast. And college football and NFL football families are very small. It's a very small world. So at some point or another, you may be working on the same staff. You may rehire another person. You may be working for that person down the road. You just never know. And then in this game specifically, you may be actually coaching against another person. Keeping those relationships amicable at least and good at best is a smart play for coach. It's not very fun it doesn't produce a lot of headlines. For instance, Colorado Buffs fans want answers, and you're just probably not going to get them from coach because he's playing it smart. He's understanding that this is a marathon and that the last thing you want to do is start dissolving the team right in front of cameras and in the media when it's not necessary to do so. So I just wanted to put this story out because I thought it was interesting. This is another one of those coaching tree kind of things. Jed Fisch was a coach while Coach Prime was a player. That is a very interesting piece, especially since Jed Fisch is still a very young man, significantly younger than Coach Prime is. And it also explains why Coach Prime may be so tight-lipped about the coaching changes that are happening at the University of Colorado. That is a wrap from Alpine Garage Sports. I hope you subscribe to our channel, become part of the Alpine Army, and let's follow college football and specifically the Colorado Buffaloes for the rest of the season. We will see you in the next video.